Going live.
African American women who were the first in African American women who were the first in their field. They excelled in fields that were not only off limits to African Americans, but even more restricted to African American women. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Phyllis Wheatley. Phyllis Wheatley was the first African American poet to publish a book. Born in 1753, she was brought to New England from West Africa as a slave when she was nearly 8 years old. The Wheatley family purchased and named the young girl, and after discovering her passion for writing, they caught her writing with chalk on the wall, tutored her in reading and writing. She studied English literature, Latin, Greek, and the Bible. With the family's help, Phyllis Wheatley traveled to London in 1773 and published her first poems. Soon after, when she returned to America, she was granted her freedom. Number 2. Mary Jane Patterson. Mary Jane Patterson was 16 years old when her family, among others, moved to Ohio in hopes of sending their children to college. The daughter of a master mason, Patterson became the first Black woman to graduate from an established American college, Oberlin College. 3 years after completing her studies in 1862, Patterson was appointed a teacher assistant in the female department of the Institute of Colored Youth in Philadelphia, according to the African American Registry. She later taught at the Preparatory High School for Colored Youth, renamed Dunbar High School, serving as the school's first Black principal from 1871 to 1874. Number 3. Mary Eliza Mahoney. Mary Eliza Mahoney, born in 1845, had been a cook, a janitor, and a washerwoman before she began working at the New England Hospital for Women and Children, according to Jacksonville University. When she was 33, she entered the hospital's 16-month nursing program and earned her certification. In a 40-year career, Mahoney directed the Howard Orphan Asylum in Long Island, New York, and was a founding member of the group that became the American Nurses Association. After retirement, Mahoney continued to fight for minority rights, and in 1920 became one of the first women to register to vote in Boston. Number 4. Maggie Lena Walker. Maggie Lena Walker, the daughter of a former slave, went to public schools in Richmond, Virginia, became a teacher, and established a newspaper before founding the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank in 1903, according to the National Park Service. In chartering the bank and serving as its first president, Walker broke gender and racial barriers. She later served as board chairwoman when the bank merged with 2 other Richmond banks, the Park Service reports. The resulting entity until 2009 was recognized as the nation's oldest continually African American operated bank. Number 5. Claudette Cloven. Claudette Cloven broke ground nearly 10 months before Rosa Parks. In March 1955, Cloven, then just 15 years old, was arrested for violating an ordinance in Montgomery, Alabama that required segregation on city buses. According to a Stanford University entry, Cloven went to jail without a chance to call her family, a University of Idaho researcher wrote. Cloven and other women challenged the law in court, but Black civil rights leaders, pointing to circumstances in Cloven's personal life, thought Parks would make a better icon for the movement. Being dragged off that bus was worth it just to see Barack Obama become president, Cloven said in the 2017 book, Still I Rise. So many others gave their lives and didn't get to see it, and I thank God for letting me see it. Number 6, Alice Dunnigan. Alice Dunnigan was mostly ignored during White House news conferences until John F. Kennedy became president. That's when Jet magazine in 1961 ran the headline, Kennedy in, Negro reporter gets first answer in 2 years, according to the Poynter Institute, a journalism school and think tank. Dunnigan, born in 1906 in rural Kentucky, was the daughter of a tenant farmer and a laundress. She began penning columns at just 13 years old. She graduated from Kentucky State University and taught for 18 years before moving to Washington. In 1947, she became chief of the Associated Negro Press and the first African American woman accredited to cover the White House, according to the Kentucky Commission on Women Foundation. Number 7, Alice Coachman. Alice Coachman changed that by soaring an unprecedented 5 feet 6 1/8 inches in the high jump at the London Games. She also jumped into the history books as the first Black woman to win an Olympic gold medal. The Albany State, Georgia college student surpassed the Olympic record of 5 feet 4 3/4 inches held jointly by Americans Gene Shiley and Babe Didrikson since the 1932 Olympics. Close to 82,000 spectators watched Coachman's August 7, 1948 victory that came in dramatic fashion as she competed against Dorothy Tyler of Great Britain. Both women jumped the same height, but the American was given the nod because Tyler had several misses at lower heights. Number 8, Ruby Bridges. Ruby Bridges became a civil rights activist when she was only 6 years old. Although the Supreme Court ruled against segregation in public schools in the Brown versus Board of Education decision, many all-white schools in the South were still not completely on board with welcoming Black students. Bridges passed the entrance exam to attend an all-white elementary school, William Frantz Elementary School, in her New Orleans neighborhood, and in 1960 she became the first African-American child to desegregate the all-white elementary school in the South. Federal marshals escorted Bridges and her mother past angry protesters each day. Bridges wrote 2 books about her experiences and received the Carter G. Woodson Book Award. Number 9, Mae Jemison. Mae Jemison
All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. God bless you. Welcome tonight to our time in the Word of God, our Village Bible study tonight. I'm once again grateful for and indeed thankful for your presence tonight, and as well as honored by your presence tonight. Hopefully everybody's had a great day. We've had a wonderful, Reverend Clark led us in prayer and devotion at 6 p.m. And what a wonderful prayer and devotion. You got to believe, sisters and brothers, in the person. You got to believe. He taught us in the plan, and you got to believe in the promise. That's it. Believe in the person, the plan, and the promise. So hopefully you all have been joining us on this 40-day journey through the Lent season with our prayer and devotion. I know it's hard to keep up with St. James because something is literally going on each and every day. There's a way that you can be fed. There's a way that you can be nourished. There's a way that you can be blessed and encouraged on your journey. It is our mission to make sure that no one is traveling alone, So if you connect with St. James, you won't travel alone. Prayer in the morning, prayer and devotion in the evening, Bible study on Tuesday, Bible study on Wednesday, church school on Thursday, Bible study on Saturday, worship on Sunday. I mean, if you're looking to stay connected, St. James is certainly the place to be. And certainly that's the way it's supposed to be when you are leading the greatest people on the planet. We're going to begin with a word of prayer, and then I'm going to share some more things after the word of prayer. Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far along the way, it is our prayer that you keep us forever in your path, we pray. In Jesus' name. And all of God's children said, thank God, and said, amen. God bless you tonight. Thank you once again for being a part of our village Bible study. We know persons are still coming in. They're tagging along and coming in slowly, but surely. If you have not, first of all, volunteered or signed up to be a volunteer, it is my hope that you would do that to support our hospitality ministry so that no one has to carry the weight by themselves. We're looking for smiling faces, pleasant personalities, warm spirits. All you have to do is escort persons to their seat and sign persons in. They can do their own temperature because we're going to have the standalone temperature check. So they can just walk up, put their forehead or their wrist and check their temperature, and then they can go on in. And so if you're willing to be a part of that, we would definitely welcome you, and we would certainly be appreciative. Well, here we are. We're back tonight in our study. We're continuing part 2 of continuing. I posted the welcome back home flyer and in a post probably a week ago now. And I stated what all that God has done through St. James during the pandemic, and that it's been 2 years. And I stated that we have continued, and then list just briefly some of the stuff that we've continued to do. And then I close with the words, what will we do when we return to worship? We will continue. And so that's what we're doing. We're continuing. We ain't stopping. We ain't starting over. We ain't pausing. We are continuing. And so it comes out of this study, and this study is coming out of the series. I'm going to have to pick up, probably next week. I'm going to have to pump the gas, a little bit faster, because we got to get through the entire book of Daniel for this series. And so I could take it slowly, or I can move it along. And so I'm going to try to move it along the tracks so that we can get through this at least by the end of April, because there's only 52 Wednesdays in a year, because you only have one Wednesday a week. And so we're going to try to pick it up so that at least through April, we'll be able to get through this entire series. Hope you all have been blessed so far. Actually, last week we talked about struggling between popularity and purpose, and struggle between being popular and being right. And I had a confrontation with that just a few days ago, really just a few days ago, when deciding on reopening. You have to decide, whether you want to be popular, whether you want to be right, you want to follow your purpose, or you want to follow popularity. And my heart was a little bit, pierced just a little bit, not in a bad way, in a good way, not bad at all, is the fact that some people tried to register and the registration was over already. I think within no more than 4 hours, all the seats were taken. And I made an appeal to individuals that, we're trying to do things differently, but we're trying to do things right. Not to say anybody else is doing it wrong. The reopening decision decided to abide, by the social distancing. So it's, as you all will see on the third Sunday, it's every other pew. Nobody is sitting behind anybody. And I know most places aren't doing that at all. I mean, I've been in churches that they row to row, neck to neck. There ain't no distance between nobody. Everybody's sitting on each other's lap almost, in a sense. And so we are not there yet. The reopening committee is not there yet. And at that point, when they think we can take on a little more, that this pandemic, it looks like it's ending. We hope it is. We still got some ways to go, but we will continue to choose what's right and our purpose over popularity and over being popular. Our job is to try our best to keep people safe. And the last thing I need on my mind, my heart, my conscience is St. James becoming a super spreader. That's the last thing I need at this particular time. And so that's why it's only 100 plus people. I think 138 in Newark, and there's only 55 in South Orange. And I know you're saying to yourself, well, I go in the grocery store, Reverend, there ain't no limit. I go in the mall, certain store may be a limit. I go on my job, ain't no limit, and I know the mask mandate been lifted. But here again, you got to continue. Even when you're wrestling with whether to be popular, right, or popularity over purpose. And so that's what we're doing. And we'll create more space once the environment is safe. We're wearing masks, of course, as well. I know in many places they're not wearing masks. Schools have lifted the mask mandate in many places. My children still, per their mother and father, have to wear their mask. And so they're still wearing their mask even in school. So I was just sharing how it actually came to light in real life, that point, talking about continuing in the midst of struggling with these various decisions that you have to make. And you have to make them in good conscience. I was debating with the staff today through text message. And I said, you're appreciative of all that people do for the body of Christ. But at the end of the day, decisions have to be made, and the buck has to stop at the top. And because when things don't go right, I don't care who was supposed to do it. They're gonna say, "Well, the pastor, the pastor, it was the pastor." So you have to make those decisions, and that's why I love about the police department. I love about the parole board. These other places I'm serving in. You got to make those decisions, and once you make those decisions, you got to go on and go on to the next. You ain't got time to look back whether you made it right. You got to go on. If you didn't make it right, correct it as you continue to travel. So this is a real life series. And so tonight we're picking back up. If you got the outline through the email today, we are in letter C. We are in letter C tonight of the outline, which deals with continuing in the face of angry opposition. Continuing in the face of angry opposition. Y'all ever dealt with some mean folk? I mean, it's one thing for people to oppose you, as you'll see in the text, but it's another thing that when they oppose you with anger, with venom. I mean, they not only oppose you, they almost hate your guts. And sometimes it's the people you ain't done nothing to. But then it's sometimes the people that you are helping them to be who they are. And yet they oppose you. But not only that, they are literally angry about it. Let's look at the scripture in Daniel chapter 3, verses 19 through 23. Let's look at the text. And here it is. I'm trying to, there it is. Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And his attitude, here it is, toward them changed. He ordered the furnace. Look at this anger. Heated 7 times hotter than usual. and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. Next 3 verses. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound, thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent, and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing fire. That's good. Thank you. These men failed. It's so hot, they literally fall, because the men that had them were burned and killed just by getting them to the door. Just in getting them there, they burn up. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fall into the furnace. We're talking about angry opposition, and that you got to somehow continue even in the midst of that. Can I be clear with y'all tonight? This may come as a shocking revelation to you, to some. It won't be a shock, but everybody will not be happy for you or nice to you. I know that's a shocker for some. They don't even know you, and they don't even like you, and not even nice to you. Everyone will not be happy for you, and everyone will not be nice to you. And the best way I can tell you, with some sensitivity and compassion, you got to get over it. You got to move on. You got to continue, even when people don't like you and they're not nice to you. The late Matt King Carter once said, snakes are also in paradise. That's something I want y'all to jot that down, keep that with you. Snakes are also in paradise. Whatever paradise is for you, whatever that place that you thrive and long to be in your life, whatever that success you long to be, when you get there, snakes are also there as well. What you mean, Pastor? Satan came to God one day, and God said, Satan, where have you come from? He said, I've been to and fro. That's the book of Job. I've been down there. I've been in the earth searching. That alone suggests Satan has made an appearance in paradise. Having a conversation with God. Where you come from? I've been to and fro seeking whom I can devour, whom I can conquer. God says in a conversation with Satan, well, have you considered my servant Job? Snakes are also in paradise. It's Lent season. Jesus in Matthew 4 enters into the wilderness to be tempted by the enemy, to be tempted by Satan. He's in there, the Spirit leads him in, and the angels welcome him out. But in between the Spirit leading him in and angels welcoming him, it's Satan in between. Hear me tonight. In between the Spirit and angels, Satan. Snakes are also in paradise. If snakes are in paradise, that means what else? They in the church too. So that means sometimes people in the church won't like you, because snakes are in paradise. Jesus once in a parable said, I want you to be harmless as a dove, but wise as a serpent, as a snake. Why, Jesus? Because snakes are in paradise. And you won't know how to deal with snakes. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove, if you haven't been around many snakes. So sisters and brothers, when you look at the text, so Matt King Carter was right. Bottom line, snakes are everywhere. The king is angry in the text tonight, verses 19 through 23, because the boys will not denounce their God. Why? Because to the boys, God is responsible for their life. God is responsible for their success, and God is responsible for their promotion. The boys, if you look close at the text, I tried to investigate it, y'all. You know, Brother Sam Sneed, I tried to investigate this thing. I looked at Daniel 1 all the way through Daniel 2, Daniel 3. I said they must have said something out of the way to make the king this angry. He cannot, with his egotistical self, be this angry because somebody won't bow. So I'm trying to find if they had done anything. And y'all know what? I couldn't find nothing that these three Hebrew boys had ever done personally to King Nebuchadnezzar. In fact, close examination of the text, in their position, they have actually contributed to whatever success the king has been experiencing that has caused him 20 years later to now want a golden image of himself. So whatever success is happening in Babylon is a result of these boys' work. And now the king is filling himself. We talked about egotistical leaders and all of that last week, but the king is now, he's really filling himself. And in the midst of filling himself, he now adds this golden image. He's not just King Nebuchadnezzar. In our context, King Nebuchadnezzar is Vladimir Putin. Images all over Russia of Vladimir Putin. My wife gets agitated because she believes me watching CNN as I go to bed causes her to have bad dreams. Or it causes her to have anxiety because she sees these places being bombed. And my argument is I need to know what's going on in the world. And in that pillow talk, I say that's why I couldn't be president, because I probably would accidentally have the country in another world war, because I probably would rope Putin off like we did bin Laden. I just be honest. I said that's probably what I would have to do, because this man is acting like King Nebuchadnezzar and killing all these innocent persons. And the reality is Putin is really losing his mind. That's what's going to happen to Nebuchadnezzar when we get closer to the end of Daniel. See, I told y'all on Sunday, you know, you can run through a wall and you can run through a troop, leap over a wall, all of that. You ain't got to destroy your enemy. Sometimes at the right time, they're going to destroy themselves. And Nebuchadnezzar going to lose his mind in a few more chapters. And that mind is going to fade away. Then a whole nother king is going to have to rise up. So these men have not done anything. They've contributed to the success that the king was experiencing. Yet he's still angry with them over this issue. Can somebody say this issue, wherever you are? This one issue. He's upset with them over this issue. This is the thanks that they get for doing their job well. They get thrown into a furnace. And sometimes you got to continue on your job when you're doing it well and the boss throw you in the heat. And them lazy jokers over there ain't doing nothing. And they keep coming stacking papers on your desk. Keep adding work to your load. You got to learn how to continue. Even when it feels like you are in the fire yourself in your place of employment. Sisters and brothers, you have to continue even when you know you have been good to the person that's the king in the text. Yet they still hate you over the one thing you just could not do. Do y'all have anybody that dislike you over one thing you couldn't do for them? You done 100 things for them, but one thing you couldn't do, and now they upset with you. Out of all the times you done been there for them, just one thing, and they won't even talk to you. There's a line in The Godfather, and I don't need to be watching that no more either. But there's a line in The Godfather. Corleone says, "That I cannot do." That's the line. That's the line there, boy. Y'all got, if y'all haven't watched The Godfather, you got to watch it. And that's my trademark in workplaces and other places. I like you, but that I cannot do. I do a whole lot for you, but that one thing. And not doing that one thing can cause people to be angry with you for a long period of time. And you can think of all the things that you have done for them. That's the position that these three Hebrew boys are in. That's the predicament that they're in tonight. And they have somehow managed to continue even in the midst of that. You know, people are like the king tonight. A lot of people are like Nebuchadnezzar. Some people are mad at you over one thing when you've done 100 things right. I oftentimes kind of hard on the staff, you know, and I know that's hard for you all to picture your nice pastor being mean to anybody. I know that, y'all, because I love them, but, you know, I tell them, I don't care how many times you've done it right. That one wrong is all I can remember. I can't get it out my head. That one wrong. But I love you, but it was wrong. Because whatever is disseminated, whatever is conveyed, whatever is communicated, you ain't got but one time to get it right. And you got to get it right. And so if you're wrong, you work on correcting it and you move on. So here we are tonight. Let us see. We're talking about in the face of angry opposition, but let us also look at the undeserved treatment. It's one thing to be facing opposition. It's one thing to be dealing with angry person, but to be dealing with undeserved treatment. Y'all talk to me tonight. I mean, you can dislike me, but I don't have to take your treatment. Y'all feeling me? If you're on Zoom, just pat your chest so I can see that y'all feeling me. You ain't got to like me. You can oppose me, but just don't treat me like that. I mean, you ain't got to be nasty. You know, you can be angry, you can oppose, but just don't be nasty with it. Let's go back, Melissa, to verses 19 and 20 again. Let's look at something. Verses 19 and 20. So he was so furious, once again, sisters and brothers, with them, and his attitude toward them changed. Here's the undeserved treatment. Why heat the furnace 7 times hotter? You see what it says? He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. I wish we would know what usual was. And then he commanded, on top of that, y'all, he commanded the strongest soldiers, not weak ones, as if they were resisting. The strongest soldiers, tie them up and throw them into the furnace. Thank you. Throw them into the furnace. Not help them into the furnace, but I want you to throw them jokers in there. I want you to throw them into the furnace. This is amazing to me, sisters and brothers. I mean, it is simply amazing to me what Nebuchadnezzar is doing at this particular moment. Really perplexing to me as well, that he's actually doing something of this magnitude. And sometimes you have to continue even in the face of undeserved treatment. This is Women's History Month. Can you imagine the many women, the undeserved treatment in work environments, school environments, world environments, and what they've had to endure just to support their family? Undeserved treatment before sexual harassment really became a concern of the conscience of this country. Women and what they've had to deal with in order to get to the place that they are in life. The king was so angry that they refused. He was angry at them, but they refused to compromise their faith. And because they refused to compromise their faith, he says, I want you to light this sucker. I want you to heat this furnace 7 times hotter than it normally would have been. That's what I want you to do to them. To add to it, I want you to eliminate any chance of anybody escaping. Tie them up. There it is. That's the undeserved treatment. It's enough that you throwing me in a hot furnace, but you're going to light it 7 times hotter, and then you're going to tie me up, and you're going to throw me. There it is, the 3 movements right there. He heats it 7 times hotter. He bounds them, throws them. Undeserved treatment. Sometimes you will not be treated like you deserve to be treated. And that's tough. That's hard. When you're treated like you do not deserve to be treated. But even as hard as that is, and I don't want you to think the pastor being hard on you tonight, you can't quit. Quitting helps them to win. I know it's hard, and I know you're saying, well, Pastor, you lacking empathy tonight. You telling me to continue on. Now, I've always tried to provide a disclaimer when I'm telling you to continue on. And the disclaimer that I'm trying to provide you is that I'm not talking about in a domestic situation and you are being subject to abuse and you are being treated violently and hands are being placed on you where they should not be placed on you. That's not what I'm saying. You ought to do more than quit. I can't tell you what else you ought to do because of my positions and because I'm your pastor and because I don't know who's watching. I would tell you something else to do, but I can't tell you what to do. And then you go and blame the pastor and say, the pastor told me to do that. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call and say, Reverend Slaughter, did you advise so-and-so? And now they calling me down to question me about something. So I'm not telling you what to do on the airwaves, but I'm telling you one thing, you don't stay. That's what I'm telling you to do. Let me use, okay, I can get away with this. If my daughters were being subject to undeserved treatment in their relationship, and they call their daddy, and they say, this is what's happening to me. It's abusive. I can't take it no more. You know, I'm trying to help somebody. It's hundreds of y'all watching, so I'm trying to help y'all through our own story of I'm creating one, so I can help you all understand where I am. My response would be, get out, but don't go far, because I need to get in. It need to be a transfer, because I'm gonna need access. And then I proceed. Now I'm telling you the wrong way to do it. I proceed to go in and I invoke the Bible. And I say to the individual, you must reap what you have sown. And I'm the grand reaper. And so I'm here to make sure you reap. And then I proceed to torture the young man in the way that he was treating my daughters. You know, I'm telling y'all that story because that's what you do not do. Y'all got it. You get out and go as far as you can. Don't do what the pastor just said. Now, I just gave y'all an example what the flesh might have done to me. I'm not saying I would torture anybody's son. I'm just telling you, you would not be treated sometimes like you deserve to be treated, but it's not a reason to quit. You got to continue even in the face of those challenges. Oftentimes, many of us, and rightfully so, depending on your situation, we use undeserved treatment as a reason to keep quitting and starting over. You're never going to get ahead. You keep quitting. And that's not me saying that you deserve to be mistreated and you to stay in certain environments. But somehow these men didn't try to run. They didn't try to get away from it. Even when they get out of it, you're going to see in a few minutes, they didn't try to run from it. Sometimes people just not going to treat you right, man. They just not. People say, people leave churches. Oh, they didn't treat me right over there. And then they go over there. Oh, they didn't treat me right. Oh, they didn't. No, at some point, you got to learn how to continue somehow. I got pastor friends. I said, man, I'm giving up, Slaughter. I'm leaving this church, man. I had an anniversary. They didn't do nothing for me, man. They didn't appreciate me. They didn't give me nothing. I'm going on. I'm leaving here. I said, man, running from it cannot save you. Just because you run to another church, don't mean that church going to do that. Let me ask you a question, and this is where they have to look in the mirror. Have you appreciated yourself? How do you treat yourself? When you learn how to treat yourself, you ain't waiting on nobody else to come and treat you. I say to all the single women, treat yourself. Single men, treat yourself. So when that person that you've been waiting on comes along, there's already a standard that's been lifted. And once that standard has been lifted, you cannot lower the standard to lower it down just to have company. No, you got to say, listen, man, or listen, sister, I've been treating myself right here. I've been going to Ruth Chris before you. I've been going to Legal Seafood before you. I've been going to Applebee's. I've been going to TGI Fridays. I've been going to Four Noses of Spain. I've been going to Cheesecake Factory. I've been going to the movies. I've been going to the mall long before you came along. If you can't keep up with the standard that I've established for myself, I'd rather run this race by myself. But you got to learn how to treat yourself. Some of us take undeserved treatment because we ain't never treated ourselves. Back to my family again. The way I treat my daughters are very different than I treat my son. Very different. And I think he's finally coming around. His pride and joy and his saving grace is he's the baby. Other than that, he probably would feel like he's treated the worst because I use a little bit of my daddy's rearing. Daddy says, and somebody say that's the problem. We do it for the boys, but we don't do it for the girl. You have to teach the boy. You got to learn how to make it by yourself. You got to learn how to go to work, and you got to learn how to provide. So more pressure is on you than I would ever put on my daughters. And that's not to say I shouldn't be doing the same for my daughter. On my daughter's front, and I could admit, it may be a possible failure. It's depending on your parenting skills and what you prefer. I've set a standard for them girls. And I'm telling you, the bar is so freaking high, I don't even know how homeboy is going to be able to reach it. He may be, I hope he gets there because I want grandkids one day. I'm gonna try to help him get there, but it's so high, their bar, that they already at 12 feet, 15 feet before they even meet him. And he's trying to play catch up. And then they getting their daddy in the ear that you don't settle. Because daddy can do that, daddy can handle that. Daddy got you. Yeah, worry about that. As long as you got a daddy, you gonna eat. You gonna have what you need. As long as daddy can go to work. You ain't gotta worry about that. My daughter Kellen yesterday had her review with the guidance counselor. And I was in the church office. My wife was wherever she was. I don't know what kind it was. She might have been home. And so we had to zoom in to the guidance office. And we started talking about schools, right? Let me tell y'all how the devil works. So we started talking about schools with the guidance counselor. And she was saying that, you know, Kellen is a spectacular child, young adult. And I mean, grades are impeccable. She needs to apply for the National Honor Society. She's taking all honors. She wants to major in pre-med. So we got her in biology, honors biology, anatomy honors, and all of this stuff. She's just going down. I couldn't say nothing. My wife was doing all the talking. I'm trying to figure out why my computer won't let me talk. You know, I'm on this Google Classroom. I'm hitting the thing. Can y'all hear me? They said, we can't hear you. And my wife was enjoying it because she was doing all the talking, and she's not as loquacious as I am. She just sitting there, she just eating it all up, telling the guidance counselor everything. I said, you know what? Let me log off this thing. I logged off, came back on, boom. Ooh, the mic is hot. I'm back on now, and they can hear me. I'm talking. I say, now, Miss Catherine, that's the first name. Of course, I preface it with Miss. I say, let me interject, because she was talking about Rutgers and Harvard and Yale and all of that. I say, I'm not a racist, because she was white. I say, I'm not a racist by any sense of the imagination. I say, but Kellen understands the first experience must be a HBCU experience. I said, so when we're talking about the application process, I don't even need none of them. I said, I'm just being quite honest with you and quite candid. I know they're gonna offer her all this and that. I get that. I say, but these kids are suburban kids. They ain't hood kids. Now, I'm not saying they ain't in tune with their culture. I'm not saying they're not in tune with their ethnicity, but I need to make sure they get a whole heap of it. I say, now heap is a word we use in the South. You would say in the North, a whole lot of it. But I need them to get a whole heap of it. And I say, and I'm not saying these PWIs can't do it. I just believe it's something about a historical Black college and university. Oh, that white guy kind of say, yeah, I know about Howard and Hampton and Spelman. And she just started naming them off. I said, now you talking my language. I said, you see how the Spirit has connected through this whole conference virtually? I said, now we're talking. She said, yeah, I just had seniors to go to Spelman. And she started talking about early admission and all of that stuff. I said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And she says, well, we also got to talk about what she say, financing, and we got to talk about loans and all that. I said, no. We're not talking about that either. I said, that's taken care of. She asked me, what you mean taken care of? I said, paid for it. You know what that means? I said, all she got to do is get there. We've been putting money to the side since she was born. Every day, every month. All we waiting on is graduation. And when graduation comes, we are happily ready to write a check, because it's been in an investment count now 17 years as of March 26th. So it's been building up and down, in and out. It's just been growing. I say it's been sacrificial, because we could have used that money so many ways. We could have used that money. We needed that money, but we knew that one day she was going to become a budding star. And I've taught y'all about that when I talked to y'all about the 529B program and the various investment programs, that you don't have to wait to graduation, and you sacrifice that money now. Sacrifice that $25 a week, $50, whatever you can afford a week. Get it out of your hands, get it in investment. And so She turned and she looked at Kellen and she says, "You are so lucky." I said, "No, she blessed, baby." That's the difference. It's a difference between blessed and lucky. Lucky means by some happenstance. Blessed means by divine nature. And I say, when it's divine, it's a different thing than being lucky. And I said, she will be treated not only based upon the color of her skin, but it is my hope by the content of her character. And I say, I'm trying to send her to places that's going to develop that character, because character is what she going to be when I can't see her. Character is who she going to be when I ain't around. Character is going to make a decision whether she going to go to the library or she going to go to the sorority or fraternity party. Character is going to make the difference. And I ain't going to be there to march her from hall to hall, from classroom to classroom to help build her character. She's going to have to build that on her own. So when we're talking about treatment, I'm trying to model for them what the way they ought to be treated. And that's the way my parents, in their own way, they didn't have a whole lot of money, but you couldn't tell us nothing. We didn't know we were broke. And some of y'all didn't know y'all were broke growing up. We didn't know what broke was. We didn't know until mom and daddy passed away. We figured out what broke was when them bills, came in after death. Y'all know what after death bills look like? Some of y'all nod your head at me. That's when we knew, man, we were poor. Not poor, we were poor. We were poor, man, but we couldn't tell it because the way mama treated us. And we talking about womanhood month. I was thinking about Women's History Month. I'm thinking about writing about my mama. Had 9 children, raised 12 because she added 3 grandchildren. Bishop Zanders, Torrance Slaughter, and Ronald Slaughter. Raised all 3 grandchildren after her own 9 with a 3rd grade education. How in the world mama helped me with my homework? I don't know. The grace of God. And I'm telling you, my daddy would say to us, "You got my name, boy. Don't embarrass my name. Keep my name clean as possible." I worked hard to build his name. So I'm talking about undeserved treatment. You're going to have those days. And the way you survive those days is by remembering who you are and that you are better than the way you're being treated at this particular moment. Let me move on. I got to move on. I'm running out of time. Let's deal with continuing in the face of unprecedented victory. There shall be glory after this. There shall be victory. Let's talk about victory tonight. Verses 24 through 30, in the face of unprecedented favor and victory. Here it is. I love it. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaps to his feet in amazement and asks his advisors, "Weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the furnace?" They replied, "Certainly, your majesty." He said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around the fire, unbound, unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." My God. No one saw this coming. Nobody. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. Stop right there. They came out of the fire. They were thrown in, but they walked out. Oh, my soul getting happy right up in there. You can remove that scripture now. They were thrown in. They were bound when they were thrown in. See, sometimes you talking about the heat is too much. Sometimes the heat can loosen the chains they put on you. They were bound, Monroe Johnson. They were bound and they threw them in. But then when he called for them, they came walking out. They were bound. What happened to the chains? What happened? The fire burned it up. And they came out walking. Yes, sir. Out of the fire. I'm telling you, sometimes you need that fire because nothing purifies you more than heat. You need some heat. Oh, I can hear my daddy say, put a little heat on your behind, you'll act better. Just put a little fire back there, put a little fire up under you and light you up a little bit. You're going to start acting better, and you're going to remember next time you get disobedient in that class, when you sit down and you feel that fire from up underneath, you'll sit still a little bit longer. And I'm telling y'all, I don't know, that thing worked magically. 3 days later, 4 days later, you still felt the ramifications of what was applied to your rear end. And I just used to wonder, why does this thing last so long? You sit down, oh God, I can feel that. I tease Bishop Zanders all the time and my brother Torrance all the time. I say, see, I was the last one. So I think they spared you all and broke all of it on me. I just think y'all got away. My brother got 2 whoopings in his whole life. Bishop Zanders didn't get none. His whole life, 0 beatings. How you go a whole life without a whooping? That bishop didn't get 1 whooping. I said, man, you don't even know what the belt feel like. You went through here without 1 spanking. How in the world? In this house? With these parents? And you escaped that? You say, well, you ought to just behave. If you would have behaved, you would have escaped it too. But you decided to do something a little different. And so don't be mad at us, because then Moon, that's my brother's name, Moon didn't get but 2, and you got probably 2 a week. I said, that's about right. I said, but you see how the Lord make this thing turn out. And now the toughest one out of the 3 was the last one, because it was a little bit tougher. And so they always, trying to keep me calm, because I was the one that fought. I fought every day. I'm like, oh, Stevie, whoever that. Baby, who's your favorite character? Color Purple. Stevie, I had to fight all my life. Now that ain't Celia. Who is that? Oprah Winfrey, man. Huh?
Sophia.
Sophia. Now that's my wife's favorite movie. She can't even get the answer. You told Harpo to beat me. I've had to fight all my life. That's the way I feel. And sometimes I'd be telling these bishops in the church, I had to fight all my life, man. I'd look for a good fight. I'm just looking for somebody to fight sometimes. That's the way I grew up. I would look for somebody. In the hood I grew up in, we used to go to school and look for somebody to punch. Who are we going to punch in the face today? And I knew I was going to get in trouble when I got home. But I thank God I've been delivered from that Saul kind of cantankerous spirit. But you got to know how, sisters and brothers, to continue in the face of unprecedented favor and victory. Isn't this unprecedented? They are thrown into the fire, and yet they walk out what they were thrown in. Why? Because I talked about it Sunday, and I'm coming back to talk about it again. God shows up in strange places. Can I tell y'all again? The God factor. God shows up in strange places. Melissa, come on back with verse 24 and 25 again, and then I'm out of here. Verse 24 and 25. God shows up in strange places. Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet. Weren't there 3 men? Here it is, that we tied up and threw into the furnace. They replied, certainly, your majesty. He said, look, I see 4 men. Thank you. That's all I needed. I see 4 men. What are the 4 men doing? Walking around in the fire. When you got favor, you can walk in the fire. I see, the king says, 4 men. Who is that walking with them in the fire? He said, the 4th one looks like the Son of God. Can I tell you, God shows up in the fires of your life? God shows up in the pain, the confusion, and the misery of your life. God is not like folk He don't show up when the fire is over. He showed up while the fire was still going on. And I see 4 men. And the 4th man looks like the Son of God. Whenever you experience unprecedented favor and victory, I want you to be assured tonight, brothers and sisters, that it would not have happened unless God showed up in a strange place. There is no victory unless God shows up. God manifests God's self in strange places. When God shows up in strange places, guess what else will happen? You will not smell like what you've been through. When God, Melissa, can we get verse 27 up and 26 and 27? Well, I want to show them what happens when God shows up in strange places. You won't smell like, some of y'all have been through so much manure and mess that you ought to be smelling like it. Nebuchadnezzar then, listen at this, approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come out. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. Verse 27, next. And look, they saw the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was hair of their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. How do you explain that? All of that smoke and fire in a blazing furnace, and they don't smell like it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How? You've been around nasty people all day and you don't smell like them. Been around mean people and you don't smell like them. Because God shows up in strange places. God does not only show up at the church, he shows up at the cemetery. God shows up in strange places. God shows up in the middle of the night when you tossing and turning in that house by yourself, trying to figure out what's my purpose, what's my path, where should I go next? God shows up in strange places. And sisters and brothers, you won't know unprecedented favor and victory unless God shows up in those places. You don't have to wait until you get on the Mount of Transfiguration for God to show up. David says he'll come in the valley and he'll walk with you. His rod and his staff will comfort you. He'll show up at a table where your enemies are eating your food. He'll show up right there. And I'm telling you, boy, I feel like Sunday morning now. Some of you can testify, Rem, he'll show up in the hospital room too, because I've been in the bed. And especially if you've been in one during COVID and your family couldn't stay the night with you. And your family couldn't come and visit you. All you had was an iPad. All you had was a phone so your family could call and check on you. Some of y'all can testify right now. He'll show up even in a hospital room. I'm a witness he will. I know God will. I got the end. My soul getting happy right there. I got the end. Let me tell you what else. In the face of unprecedented favor and victory, as you continue, never gloat over your victory. Never gloat. I know that's an old school word. Never gloat over your victory. When Nebuchadnezzar asked them boys to come out, they could have come out saying, nah, y'all tried to kill us, but it didn't work. They could have came out with some rhyme or something, but that's not what they come out saying. Sometimes, can I give y'all something to run to work with tomorrow? Sometimes you have to let your showing up do the talking. Come here, and they walk out of the furnace. And if you go look at the record, that's what the old preacher used to say about the text. Go look at the record, you will see where they never said a word when they came out. He said, y'all come here. They come out. Sometimes you showing up is enough and you ain't even got to open your mouth. Because they know you ought to be stank by now. They know they done tried to do the worst that they can do to you by now. And here you come walking up out of the furnace, whatever the furnace is for your life. And here you come walking up out of it. Maybe the furnace is unemployment. Maybe the furnace is embarrassment. Maybe the furnace is a lack of having what you need. And here you come walking out of it. You ain't got to gloat over it. All the people gathering around them are now all of a sudden for them because they survived. Don't miss that. All the people around them are now for them because they survived. Sometimes, God help me tonight, you have people that come around you because they know you have been victorious and that your name is victory. See, everybody wants to be attached to a winner. Sometimes the people you got around you, they only around you because you've been winning. But prior to that, they didn't want to have anything to do with you. And you got to recognize the people that are around you because you are winning. And they want to be a part of your victory. They want to be a part of your winning season. They want to be a part of what's happening in your life. But I can hear Rudyard Kipling in the poem, if you can keep your head about you when all around you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can walk with kings and not lose the common touch. You got to learn, sisters and brothers, how to walk not only with kings and queens and not lose the common touch, but you got to learn how to fulfill the 60-yard distance run. You got to learn how to fulfill that stuff. And you cannot become bothered and gloating over your victory, because the moment you stop to gloat is the moment of your demise, because the gloating ain't about you. It's because of unprecedented favor and victory that the Lord has given you. I'm quitting here, but here's my last one. God can turn what was meant for evil for your good. I know you've heard it before, but I'm telling you, it's a fact. God can turn what was meant for evil for your good. This ain't Joseph. This the 3 Hebrew boys tonight. And sisters and brothers, I'm done. But God, y'all hear me now. This is going to bless y'all. God, when he shows up in strange places, the God factor can use the same one that wanted to kill you to promote you. That went over your head. I'm living it. God can use the same people that are trying to kill you to promote you, and they don't even know that they're promoting you in trying to kill you. I said that too fast, didn't I? The same one that's trying to kill you, God can use them to promote you. Read the last 3 verses, 28, 29, and verse 30 when you get a chance, because I got to quit tonight. When you read those, it'll show you, sisters and brothers, God can use, when the God factor is at work, he can use the same one that wanted to take you out to lift you up. Yeah, that's good. When God turns what was meant for evil for your good, God can use the same people that tried to kill you to promote you. If you don't believe me, ask Louise Scott Roundtree when you see her what Reverend Slaughter said to her when the people said ain't no way she's going to be a city council person at large. She ain't even got opposition. They couldn't even get certified. All the at-large council members, Louise Scott Roundtree, Larry Crump, Luis Quintana, and Gonzalez are all unopposed. They are already elected because they have no opposition. And I told her and Crump, when you get unprecedented favor and victory, don't gloat over it. But remember, God can take what was meant for your evil and work it for your good. I say, Roundtree, you go from being Booker's secretary to now being a council member. Ain't nobody but God do stuff like that. That's the God factor. Nobody but God can make things happen like that. I'm done tonight. It's 8:01. I'm out of time. Certainly not out of word. I love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all for spending Wednesday night with your pastor. Want y'all to enjoy the rest of the night. See y'all on Sunday. Oh, wait, I'm preaching tomorrow. I'm preaching. Where am I preaching at? I'm preaching in Oklahoma tomorrow. Yeah. I'm preaching in Oklahoma. I don't know what part, but I'm preaching in Oklahoma, and it's virtual, and I'm doing it live virtually. I ain't flying out there. No. But I'm going. I'm going on this internet, and I'm gonna preach from right here where I'm sitting at. And so I want y'all to join me on tomorrow night. I have them to send out the information. Let me see where I'm preaching at tomorrow. I'm preaching at Avery Chapel AME Church. Elijah Schaffer is the pastor, and I'm preaching in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's where I'm preaching tomorrow. I'm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma tomorrow. It's Central Standard Time. I hope I'm up, because that means I got to preach at 8:30. I'm used to being in the bed by 9 o'clock. And so they're 1 hour behind us. So 7 o'clock Central Time is 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And so we'll have this information posted on social media. We'll post this flyer, and y'all come on to church tomorrow and join me. It's going to be live. And I'm going to be in Oklahoma. So y'all act like we in Oklahoma tomorrow night. We're going to have a good time. I got a whole lot of chat stuff. They asking me, registrants, if they're unable to attend, please organize no for Christmas Eve service. Oh, if y'all cannot attend, oh no, they weren't empty because of that. They were empty because that new wave was going, and I didn't want to replace nobody. So that's why them pews were empty for Christmas Eve, because I was going to cancel that in person, that little 75 that we agreed to. But we came out of that wave. So what they're trying to tell me, if you're not coming to worship, let us know, because we got a waiting list and people trying to get to church. So if you're not going to show up to church and you registered, be kind enough to notify us so we can replace you and put somebody else in that seat, because you got a waiting list for both campuses of people that's trying to get in church. And that wouldn't be good if you know you're not coming, but you're going to hold up that seat. So y'all help us out on that end. We'll be grateful. We love you so much, but we'll be grateful if you can help us out with that. If you have not registered to be a volunteer, Brother Stewart say, I heard the way you were pulling on the officers, so I'm going to volunteer now, so you don't have to call me out. So y'all come on to church, volunteers. There's the email, sjamehospitality@gmail.com. We're going to meet next week, probably next Thursday, so we can get ourselves ready for reopening on March the 20th. All right, y'all, I'm over time. I value your time. I love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Social media, y'all been wonderful tonight. I see all the comments. Kevin Waters, Katina Thomas, Sharon McCormick, Art Waters, Sharon Elijah, Siobhan Richardson, Miss Victoria House, Sister Warren, Sister Faison, Sister Brenda Anderson, Sister Yawanda Faison, God bless you. Corinne Burwell, Margaret Jackson, God bless all of you. Kimberly out there in the Midwest, God bless you. Patricia Glover, Reverend Pam, God bless all of you. Let me scroll up. Oh, these are wonderful. So many comments. Councilman Epps, God bless you. Brother Dwayne Dodd, Senior, God bless you. Tammy Mays, Stacy George, Sister Brown, Sister Grainer, Sister Gators. God bless all of you, Sister Hewitt, Mama Lord. Y'all have a good night. Latrice Addison, Jackie Sims. Have a good night. And on the Zoom, I love y'all. YouTube, thank you for subscribing. And website, love y'all too. Everybody have a good night. May the Lord bless you tonight. And may the Lord allow you to get a good night's rest. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Love y'all. Have a good night. Have a good night.